This presentation covers symbolism, elements of plot, and irony in the novel Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Elements of plot. The exposition of the novel is when Huck is staying with the Widow Douglas and Miss Watson, who try to civilize him until his father Pap kidnaps him and imprisons him in an attempt to get the money the judge is holding for Huck. The rising action occurs when Huck escapes his father and the town where they try to civilize him, and Jim escapes slavery by traveling down the Mississippi River in a raft. The climax is when Huck decides to rip up his letter telling Miss Watson that the Phelps' family has her runaway slave Jim. The falling action is when Huck and Tom try to free Jim from the Phelps' farm using Tom's elaborate and ridiculous escape plan modeled after adventure romance novels. And the resolution is when Tom and Huck escape with Jim, Tom gets shot, and Tom confesses that he knew that Miss Watson has been dead for 2 months and had freed Jim in her will, and Huck turns down the Widow Douglas's offer to move back with her and says he will head out west instead. Symbolism. The Mississippi River equals freedom. Huck is free from his abusive father and the restraints of civilization, and Jim is free from slavery when they are on the Mississippi River. However, corruption from the shore keeps encroaching in on their freedom with the king and the duke and the people they meet along the way. The river will also end before they can truly be free. The Widow Douglas's home is a symbol for the epitome of civilized Christian society. It makes Huck Finn very uncomfortable speaking, behaving, and living there, as opposed to the freedom of the life on the raft on the Mississippi River, where he can swear, smoke, go barefoot, and relax, rather than pray, go to school, wear shoes, go to church, and the things that he must do in her home. Jim is a symbol for the average enslaved African American in the South. He is downtrodden and looked down upon by every other character in the novel, and is at the mercy of even a young boy. He, of course, desires his freedom. The raft is a symbol of equality between Huck and Jim, where they are free and equal and free from the responsibilities and restraints of society, though at the mercy of nature. The Grangerford house is a symbol for the materialistic American aristocracy. Although Huck is immensely impressed by this home, Twain is clearly critical of their participation in the violent feud with the Shepherdsons. Irony. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is loaded with all 3 types of irony. The first type, situational irony, is when a character thinks something is different than it actually is, or expects something different to happen than ends up happening. For example, Huck thinks he is freeing Jim with Tom at the end of the novel, when Jim has actually been free for 2 months. But Tom neglects to tell them so that he can have fun with his game of pretending to free Jim. Dramatic irony is when the audience knows something a character does not. For example, Huck thinks he's going to hell for his decision not to turn in Jim, but the audience knows that Huck is actually one of the most moral people in the novel and is unlikely to go to hell. And lastly, verbal irony is when a character says something but the meaning is different. Although verbal irony is typically intended by the speaker as in sarcasm, in Huck's case he is so innocent that he is unaware that he is being ironic throughout the novel, adding to the book's humor. For example, Huck thinks Miss Watson is decent and a good Christian woman, but her decision to split up Jim's family by selling him down river shows that she isn't really decent at all.